football in 2024. Let's talk about it because the Euros just finished and I won't go too much into the Euros and what happened there, but that was 100% the least I've enjoyed football ever in my life. It was the least enjoyable month of football in my life. I didn't stop complaining for an entire month about referees, about players, about standard, about the quality that the game is currently in. And I feel like that's been bubbling up over a few years probably. But that Euros, for me, was really poor. And there were two cases, I think, that drove me over the edge. And we'll get into those quickly. The first one, and the main one, being Germany versus Denmark. Now, this was a very close game. This was 0-0 at the time. And actually, I'd say Denmark were the better team up until the point which you can see on the thumbnail. Joachim Andersen. Now, Joachim Andersen actually just got a offside goal disallowed. Now, do I think it's a little bit crazy that a toenail can get you offside? Of course. Is it really what offside was brought in for? No, but it's the rule. If he's offside, he's offside. I don't really have any complaints about it. It was a good line that they use. It's technology. I'm fine with that, right? But this is unedited, by the way. So if I stutter a little bit, this is why. It's a podcast, so unedited. So he then goes up on the other end, and a ball gets swung in, and as you can see on the thumbnail, he handballs it. And this to me is football in 2024. This is one of the worst things I have ever seen in a sporting event in my life. It's the worst decision maybe ever in football because it has single-handedly knocked Denmark, an entire country, out of a competition that they were fully in, if not being the better team as well. Let's start with the problems of that goal, right? Do I do that later on in the video? I think we'll do it later on in the video, but I'm just pinpointing right now the moments that annoyed me, right? So the second one in that Euros was England versus Netherlands. No, it's not just because I'm Welsh. It was the Harry Kane penalty. Seriously, how is that a penalty? Can someone tell me? And Ian Wright really annoyed me on the punditry because he just kind of said, well, you know, in 2024 that's a penalty. If you're going to have that attitude, the game is going to keep getting much worse and in a worse state than it is now, and it's in a pretty bad state if we're given decisions like that to the point where someone can't even block a shot anymore. The point of VAR, clear and obvious. Was it clear and obvious? No. But we'll delve deeper into that later on in the video. Okay. I do have a little bit of a script here that I will not follow, but just points. Okay. The next point really is quality. There has never been a point in football, I don't think, where there has been less quality. And an example I have is, I'm going to read you the top 8 wingers of the 2010s. Bear in mind, all of these were playing at the same time and were kind of near their primes around this time. Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar Jr., Gareth Bale, Ian Robben, Eden Hazard, Franck Ribéry, Di Maria. Now, just think of today's game, right? Wingers. In a top 8 wingers in the world, you could make a case for Lamine Yamal in the top 10 wingers list in the world right now, and he's 17 years old, and he scored 5 goals in 37 La Liga games last year. I think that kind of shows where the game kind of is at the moment. And when I look at that, one player off that list in particular, Gareth Bale. So in the 2012-13 Ballon d'Or list, let me get that list up actually. I'll get that list up. Think of that 2012 Gareth Bale. Unstoppable. I think roughly 22 goals in the Premier League, maybe roughly 13 assists as well in the Premier League, completely carrying Spurs. Basically unstoppable, and sealed an 80 million move to Real Madrid, a 90 million pound move to Real Madrid, that made him the most expensive player in the world. He was the cherry on the cake for Real Madrid. He's the player that just then took them to Champions League trophies. So this is one of the best players of all time, right? Gareth Bale, in that 2013 Ballon d'Or, after that season he had at Tottenham, finished 9th in the Ballon d'Or list. 9th. That is insane. Think of how good that Gareth Bale was. And he finished 9th, below Cristiano Ronaldo, who won it, Lionel Messi, Franck Ribéry, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Neymar, Andres Iniesta, Robin van Persie. Did I say Robin? Maybe Robin. Robin in 8th, Gareth Bale in 9th. If that Gareth Bale was playing today, there's no doubt he would win the Ballon d'Or. Absolutely no doubt. Don't get me wrong, Rodri is a phenomenal player. Vinicius is a very good player. Mbappe is very good. But Bellingham is of course a good player, very good player. But Ballon d'Or worthy, when you're comparing this era of players to even 10 years ago, which is what I've done, it's so weak. It is so weak. I mean, Vinicius Jr. is going to win the Ballon d'Or. And he was good. You know, the Bayern Munich game, I thought he was excellent. But it's just nowhere near the quality that there once was. And it's so much easier now, I think, to win a Ballon d'Or. It really is. One area of the pitch, like I said, wingers have decreased significantly. I mean, the quality of wingers is appalling. But actually the worst is strikers. And I'm just going to name some of the strikers 10 years ago this was. So all of these players were playing 10 years ago and probably around about in their prime, most of them. So I have 13 world class and then I have 6 shout-out players that were up front roughly 10 years ago. So Luis Suarez, Robert Lewandowski, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Kun Aguero, Radamel Falcao, Edinson Cavani, Robin van Persie, Wayne Rooney, Karim Benzema, Gonzalo Higuain, Diego Costa, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, and Antoine Griezmann, all world-class players. All of them on that list are world-class. And then you even had your other players like Huntelaars and your Mario Gomez and Edin Dzeko's, Mandzukic, Chicharito Hernandez, even Carlos Tevez was still around at that time, I think Juventus. So you've got massive quality. You know, you've got some of the best strikers ever. You know, Aguero, Lewandowski, Suarez. I mean, Van Persie's unbelievable. Zlatan Ibrahimovic was insane. Aubameyang was just another player in that generation. But if Aubameyang was playing now, he would be maybe the best striker in the world, on the planet. So, you know, Diego Costa on this list was at Atletico, just moved to Chelsea. Such a high-level player, but the quantity was there as well. 13 world-class strikers at one point is insane. And you look at it now, besides Harry Kane, Erling Haaland, and Victor Osimhen, apart from those three, who else is world class as a striker in today's game? There is no one. Literally no one. You look at what the top 6 in the Premier League currently have. It's actually embarrassing. It's really embarrassing compared to old what we used to have. What we used to have. So if you look at Tottenham have got Richarlison. Liverpool currently have Darwin Núñez. Arsenal currently have Gabriel Jesus. Man United have Højlund. Chelsea have Nicholas Jackson. I mean, what the fuck is going on here? You know, what the fuck? And this is the best league in the world, by the way. Look at those strikers I just named. There's no one. It's only Man City with Haaland that's got near a world-class player in their team. But that is it. So yeah, it's really poor. And when you look at the superstars in football right now, who are they? I want you to actually try and think of them. Who are the superstars in football? You have Mbappe. You have Vinicius Jr. You have Bellingham, Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, Harry Kane, Salah. I don't know. I'm really not sure. Rodri's the last one I can think of. And the fact that I've thought of a CDM in there as a superstar, I think shows where we are currently in the world. But yeah, would Rodri be touching the Ballon d'Or in any other era? 10 years ago, when you had Suarez, Neymar, Messi, Ronaldo, Bale, Benzema, Lewandowski, Robben, Ribéry, Neuer, kicking around, many others by the way, Pirlo, Pogba, just so many world-class players kicking around. Would Rodri have got anywhere near the Ballon d'Or? I don't think so. Despite him being amazing, he's one of the best DMs, maybe the best DM I have seen. But would he get near a Ballon d'Or in any other era? I don't think so. I really don't think so. And yeah, I mean, I've written down here some world-class players that I think are in the world currently. So I've written down Alisson, Courtois, Van Dijk, Rodri, KDB, Jude Bellingham, Vinicius Jr., Kylian Mbappe, Harry Kane, Erling Haaland, Mo Salah, Ilkay Gundogan, Modric, and Saliba. Now, I think the ones there, I think I'm being polite on some of them, but I do think some of them have earned their, stripes as a world-class player now. So someone like Gundogan, 4 years ago, I wouldn't have thought he was world-class. But I think when you think of how important he has been, and he was amazing in the Euros as well. I know Germany went out quite early, but Gundogan's insane. His intelligence, the way he keeps possession, he scores a lot of goals. He's amazing. I do think he's world-class. Modric, I don't know if Modric is world-class anymore. I'm just kind of giving him it, to be honest. And who else was the other player that I said? Was Saliba? I think Saliba, again, maybe a few more years, and I'd call him world-class, but I'll just give it to him now. I'll be a bit kind, because he is very, very good, and helped Arsenal challenge one of the best teams we've seen in the Premier League era. So I'll give him it. But how many players were there then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there were 13 players there I just named, and I was being polite on some of them. There was more world-class strikers alone back in the day, 10 years ago, than there are players now. And the level of strikers was higher than the level of player that there is now. So yeah, that's just another point in terms of quality where the game is. at the moment. And my world-class definition, by the way. So I think people overcomplicate world-class definition. My world-class definition, I just said that like 4 times, is do you have a case to be the best player in your position? So let's take Salah, for example. You have Salah right wing. He is undoubtedly the best right winger in the world. So let's just say Bukayo Saka at the moment, right? I wouldn't say he's world class because I don't think he can challenge Salah to be the best right winger. If you look at, say, a midfielder, the reason I have Gundogan is I also just think Gundogan has a case to be the best 8 currently in the world. Same as Modric. I think those two do have a case, whereas I don't think anyone else really does. So that's why I went with them. And yeah, obviously KDB, as much as I think Odegaard is incredible, do I think Odegaard can say he's better than Kevin De Bruyne? Like, no, I just don't. So that's my definition of world class. Same as Van Dijk. I do think you could have argued if Saliba was better than Van Dijk last year, and he definitely was the season before that. So that's why Saliba's in here. And Van Dijk, I don't think apart from Saliba, there's anyone that could compete with Van Dijk in terms of, saying, is it anyone better than him? So that's my definition of world class. Do you have an argument to be the best in your position? Quite simple. Let's have a drink. Okay. If Neymar, Bale, and Hazard were playing today, how many Ballon d'Ors are they getting? Like, they would have won one last year. They would have won before that, the year before that. They would have won this year. They would win next year. They would win probably the year after that. I think if any of these players were just 7 years younger, they'd be looking at multiple Ballon d'Ors, those 3 wingers. Because they are, for me, better than any player playing right now, apart from maybe Mbappe. But Mbappe's been in PSG for many years, so he's kind of written himself out of any Ballon d'Or chances. So yeah. Okay. So I just realised the point that I make next. No, it's actually quite a good point. So FIFA, obviously the game, isn't the be-all or end-all of football. We know this, and for a start, it's a terrible game, and it gets worse every year, right? I might make a video on that. It will be another negative one. But there's a lack of quality in the world and quantity of quality in the world when Jude Bellingham on the new game, EAFC 25, that comes out in September, in a month, Jude Bellingham on that game is 88 rated. Wow. So in FIFA 16, I did some research. The 88 rated players in FIFA 16 were Andres Iniesta, David Silva, Thiago Silva, and Neymar Jr. So that just kind of shows, for a start, the level of player now compared to just 8 years ago. And this is the funniest part for me. So if we look at the 87 rateds on EAFC 25 and the 87 rateds on FIFA 16, I'll start with the EAFC 25. 87 rateds. Phil Foden, Florian Wirtz, Declan Rice, Victor Osimhen, Frankie de Jong, Joshua Kimmich, Gregor Kobel, the Dortmund keeper. Those are the 87 rateds on EAFC 25. On FIFA 16, Frank Ribery, Gareth Bale, Robert Lewandowski, Giorgio Chiellini, Philip Lahm, Luka Modric, Mesut Ozil, Sergio Ramos, Cesc Fabregas, Toni Kroos, Sergio Aguero. every single one of those players I just named are probably in the top 100 players to ever exist, to ever play the game. They are serious legends, every single one of those players. The worst player is Mesut Ozil or Philip Lahm. Is it Philip Lahm? It might be Philip Lahm. No, it's not. It's Mesut. I don't know. They're all a ridiculous standard. Compare that to EAFC 25. Phil Foden. Declan Rice. De Jong. Gregor Kobel. I mean, so you can see it's not even just the fact that it's the Messi and Ronaldo that have been taken out of the game. It's not just that. It's your tiers below that as well. So it's your Ozils, it's your Modric, it's your Bales, it's your Neymars, it's your Suarez's, it's your Lewandowski's, your Benzema's. Another player, one of the ones that I've seen on here was Alexis Sanchez. So Alexis Sanchez, I think, was 85 or 86 rated on FIFA 16. Alexis Sanchez was just another player in 2016. He was just another player that existed. A very good player that played for Arsenal. If Alexis Sanchez was playing today, he would be a top 5 player probably in the world. And I'm not joking. Like, he was that good. But back then, he was just another player. And I think that kind of shows, again, the quality and quantity thing in the game right now. And another reason why football in 2024 is struggling, and why the Euros I don't think was very good. You know, lack of star power, lack of quality, and lack of quantity of quality players. Oh fuck. I've just read what's next on my script. And so talent is kind of what I've just been complaining about, right? To be fair, with talent, you cannot really control it, can you? It's something that's not controllable. Eras change. One era will be good, one era will be bad. It just kind of happens. One thing you can change is the laws, is the rules. But I think the worrying thing is in football is that I actually just don't enjoy watching football anymore. Like, really. Like, with Spurs, I'm a Spurs fan, obviously. I think you can see the stadium, the little poster thing there. So when Spurs are playing, obviously because I have such a care for Spurs and football, I get nervous, which means I feel something, which means there's an excitement, right? But do I actually enjoy watching football anymore? I do. I obviously do. But I do complain mostly about it. And a lot of the time I actually look unhappy watching football. And I think that is a bit of a problem. And I don't think I am the only one in that regard. So I do need to emphasise, because on telly they don't do it, the pundits, I don't feel like they do it anyway, especially the commentary, is VAR and the referees are really, really bad. These referees, if anyone else was as bad at their job as these referees are, they wouldn't have a job tomorrow. They would be fired. So, you know, I have to emphasise it, because commentary, they don't, you know, say the referee is shit, because they are. They're letting the game down. They're just bringing the game down. VAR, we'll get into that. But I do want to talk about the players first, because the players are annoying as well. Do you know how much pride, or little pride, you have to roll around on the floor after being hit like that, like this? For me to roll around after this is so pathetic. Imagine if you did that in a bar and your missus was next to you and a man came up and he went, "What the fuck are you looking at, bro?" And then he just touches you there and you go around and you do, oh my god, my face. Oh my god, my face. Your missus is going to leave you for a start, and you're going to look like a knobhead. A knobhead. A knobhead. Why was that came out so unnatural? Knobhead. Knobhead. You are going to look like a knobhead, basically, in this pub. So why on a football pitch do I not hear Alan Shearer slaughtering these players when they're down on the floor, pretending that they're hurt? And one of the biggest problems I actually do think is players going down holding their head when their head hasn't been touched. That is actually really serious because a head injury can lead to death. Like it can. If you get hit very badly on the back of the head, you can die. You can end a career. Raul Jimenez is lucky to be alive. Ryan Mason is kind of lucky to be alive. I do think it's really disrespectful of these players to act like their head is hurting when they haven't been touched, because it is serious, and it's just a way to buy a foul, and I really don't like it. So I think something needs to be done about that, because a lot of players are doing it because it's an easy foul. I don't know how they'll sort that out. They probably won't. I could probably think of something within 10 minutes, but I can't really be asked. So, yeah, that's another thing that I think needs sorting out. So these players are a little bit weird. They're annoying. But what can you do? On to VAR. So, do we start with VAR or referees? Let's go with referees. So, for me at the moment, the game feels like three teams are playing. You have the home team, let's just say Man City. You have the away team, let's just say Man United. And then you have the third team, you have the referee. And it feels like to me, all of these teams are taking up 33%. So that's just adding up to, well, 99.9999, but 100%. So it feels like there's three teams on the pitch. The problem is they're so involved with the game. It's like every foul, it's almost as if the referee is ready to give a foul or a free kick when you shouldn't be that involved. So if there's two players going in for a tackle, instead of the referee being ready to blow, only if there's a really bad tackle should the referee blow. Really. So the reason I can't really watch rugby is because of how whistle happy the refs are. The whistle goes every 2 seconds. And I used to think, oh wow, this is so boring. But this is kind of what football is now. Football, the referee blows his whistle literally every 30 seconds because there's a foul. And he falls for it every single time. A player, in the Euros, this happened so much. A player goes down and he acts like he's about to die, and the referee just gives a foul. And I cannot believe in 2024 they're still falling for this. It's very obvious. So if they're way too involved, you could easily referee a match without a referee. You do not need a referee, by the way. The players could easily ref. If there was a really bad foul, the players would be like, oh, that's a foul, we get a free kick. That's what we did in school. That's what every single one of you watching this did in school. There was a foul, all the players collectively agree that's a foul. The referees are way too involved, and it's almost as if every single time a player contacts another player, is in contact with another player, oh, that's a ref, that's a foul, sorry. They're too involved. And yeah, it's hard to articulate what I'm trying to say, really. I don't know if you got what I said, but I think I'm trying to make a point. I just don't know how to really say it. I'm not articulate enough. On to VAR. So, VAR is so simple. Why is a probably below average smart person, 21-year-old, how can I say what VAR should be? But people who earn money, a lot of money, doing this stuff, can't. Obvious error. the Denmark scenario. This is where I was going to bring it back to that Denmark one. He handballs it. Right, yes. Well done. Handballs it. It hits his hand. Is it an obvious error? No. No, it isn't. So we're not going to give a handball. The Kane Netherlands. The referee didn't even care. No one even appealed. The same as the Denmark and Germany one. No one cared. No one appealed. And yet, VAR decide, oh, you know what, actually, even though no one appealed, no one saw it, we're going to pull this back, even though it was so insignificant. So was it an obvious error? Obviously not, because not one fan, the ref, who was literally watching it, or the player who even got fouled in the Netherlands-England one, well, fouled, didn't even, Kane, yeah, he rolled around for a bit, but he didn't appeal, because he knew it wasn't a foul. So it's not obvious, is it? And speaking of obvious, the offside thing, I don't know if they're going to bring that technology into the Premier League, but if they're not, there were some offsides last year that were just disgusting, because they took 2-3 minutes to decide if someone was offside. If it takes 2 minutes to decide if someone is offside, then it is not obvious, is it? There should be a timer, I think. Can you work out, is this offside in 15 seconds? If you can't decide if this is offside within 15 seconds, then it's onside, because we should favour the attacker anyway, because we want entertainment. So there should be a timer on the screen. The referees get the video in. They get the video up. Oh, there's a timer, 15 seconds. Can you determine if this is offside? Seems pretty good to me. That would make it obvious. That's my whole thing with VAR. Is it obvious enough? And if you can't decide if someone's offside within 15 seconds, or even had 30, I don't know, 30 seconds, it clearly isn't really offside, is it? Okay. Oh, fuck. Handballs. This is the worst part. Like I said, the Joachim Andersen one is horrendous. My team didn't lose a Champions League final because of it, but the game definitely got killed because of it. And how many were there handballs last year? Okay, my thing obvious, but also my other thing is common sense. Can we add common sense into the question? Now, I don't know what happened to the term, but for me, the best way to determine whether something was handball was the term ball to hand. Now, this is the rule that in school you play, and I actually never think we really disagreed if anything was ball to hand, and bear in mind we were like 10 years old. It's a pretty good rule. Is it ball to hand? Was Joachim Andersen's ball to hand? Yes, it was. Was it a handball? No, it was ball to hand. Therefore, not a handball. It seems too obvious, but it's just common sense, which is something that's really lacking. And I feel like ball to hand needs to come back in football, because the football world is losing its mind over this handball shit, because there's a bunch of dummies deciding whether it's a handball or not. Is it ball to hand? Simple question. If it is ball to hand, which 90% of them are, not a penalty, not a handball. And let's be real, ball to hand, people tend to agree, why is it ball to hand? So, yeah. The next thing is in the common sense. I want to talk about one scenario. So the common sense thing, let me take it back to Liverpool versus Tottenham. Curtis Jones versus, I can't remember who he fouled. It might have been Basuma. Do you remember where he went over the ball, and then because he went over it, he kind of hit his ankle with the studs. And anyone who's played football for, I don't know, longer than 2 years, watched football for longer than 2 years, will know that isn't a red card. Yet the referee gives a red card. Why? Because they don't watch football. They're not football fans. I've kind of give up with them. I don't expect them to make the right decision at any point in a match. But for that example, yeah, lack of common sense from the referee. He doesn't watch football. So he's given a red card. It's just poor. It's really poor because anyone who's watched football knows that isn't a red card. So one of the big problems in football is I don't think you can have a rule book because something like that is so hard to put in a rule book because he hasn't on purpose put his studs in his ankle. His foot has accidentally rolled over the football and hit his ankle. Can we get some common sense, please? Would be nice. Will they do this shit? Absolutely fucking not. Like Leonardo DiCaprio says. But that's what they should do. So, a few bullet points. Ticket prices are rising. This is just some Tottenham stuff. This is just my club. You've probably got your own club are doing things as well. Ticket prices. I mean, Daniel Levy literally raises the ticket prices every 6 months. T-shirts. A Tottenham Hotspur t-shirt is now £85. That is not even the full proper version. The real version is £125. Fucking hell. The Super League. Daniel Levy literally said at a fan forum thing that he will do whatever is best for the club. He did not write off the Super League. What? Can you believe that? I'm surprised that the Spurs fans literally didn't do a massive pile on Levy at that point. We've played 5 pre-season matches already. I think Son has played over like 300 minutes before the season started. I mean, my God, by the 20th game, we're literally going to be dying. The top 5 leagues are still shit. You know, Serie A is not great. La Liga is getting better now, but the quality's still lacking. Like Real Madrid, I think, is still easily going to walk La Liga. Liga is still poor. Bundesliga is pretty shit. It's all pretty shit, isn't it? We mentioned quality. And Eni Aluko is a pundit. So that's the last kind of bullet point that I have on that. Fucking hell, that was a negative video. So, to end on a positive, the next generation. So this current generation we're in, not very good. But the next generation, I've got some players here that I think will take football to a very good level. And those are, of course, Lamine Yamal, Endrick, Kobe Mainoo, what a player he is. Arda Güler, Nico Williams, I love him by the way. Cole Palmer, I think Cole Palmer could be one of the best players in the world. Cole Palmer's generational. Oscar Bob looks amazing. Saliba is still only 21, 22. Jude Bellingham is 20. Zaire Emery, he's a quality player as well. Lucas Bergvall at Tottenham, and Michael Olise. So you've got some really, really young, talented players there. Really, really talented young players. Sorry. I'm looking forward to seeing, and I think all of them actually will probably live up to expectation. There might be one or two that probably don't. I don't know, but they do look really special players, and I look forward to seeing them all develop. And I think they'll all carry the next generation, and there'll obviously be some more that come through. There'll be someone that randomly improves out of nowhere, but these are the core, I think, players that will guide the next generation of football, and I think they're all incredible. Some of them are literally already the best players in the world. I think Cole Palmer, Michael Olise, Jude Bellingham, and Mainoo is already a fantastic player, and Saliba, of course, is one of the best centre-backs in the world. So that's a huge positive, very exciting. But yeah, overall, football in 2024 in the present moment. Like, don't think in 6 months, don't think in a year, don't think 6 months ago, don't think a year ago. Right now in this moment, I really don't think football is in a good place. So yeah, depressing video, shit video really. But if you enjoyed this kind of depressing video, I tell you what, the weather is so depressing as well, so it's quite fitting. If you did enjoy it, give it a like and subscribe if you are new, and thank you very much for watching.